All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in to our monthly webinar. As always, our presentation will be followed by a Q&A. So during the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat bar. Today presenting, we have Alan Adams, CEO and founder of Navazon, Inc., the senior account manager, David Ruff, as well as Colleen Adams, our marketing manager, and then myself, Patrick Oda, our digital content lead. All right. So without any further ado, we'll pass it over to Alan, who's going to take us through our agenda. Alan?
Thank you, Patrick. This last month or last quarter, as well as the future, are going to be really busy for Amazon. COVID has really changed the environment quite a bit. We want to bring you some quick updates on Amazon due to that, as well as their COVID response information, updates on content, operations, and marketing that'll be important for you going forward, recent changes that we've seen, as well as new tools and programs that Amazon's offering. Followed by any questions and answers. Please enter them in the chat box on the right-hand side of the screen if you have any questions at any time. First, we'll go through Amazon updates and COVID response. On October 29th, Amazon announced a 37% year-over-year increase in revenue for their third quarter. Now, this is a very strong growth on their already very strong base. So there was $70 billion in revenue that they had in Q3 of 2019, and they increased to $97 billion in Q3 of 2020. A really significant call out is that this increase in revenue at 37% is not only significant because of the incredible base that it went off of, an increase of $27 billion, but also the fact that in 2019, Prime Day was in Q3 in 2019. So even without Prime Day sales, this year, Amazon was able to increase at that 37% rate. With Prime Day being rolled into Q4 this year, Q4 is bound to be very strong for Amazon since Prime Day was included in Q4 this year. This is even considering that Amazon's invested over $4 billion now to develop its own COVID-19 testing. It can conduct over 50,000 tests a day across over 650 sites. And this is capacity or capability that is even further beyond than what local communities have. So they've developed their own abilities. They haven't taken from local capabilities. If this continues to expand, it's possible that Amazon would even start to do tests for others if they continue to grow that testing capability. They have been able to successfully identify affected individuals sooner within their workforce so that they can recover. And also, they've not only before they infect other people, but also identify the people who have been around them within the last several days so that they can notify and quarantine those individuals as well. They've done a lot of individual tracking of personnel. For those that are familiar with Amazon Go stores, they track people's purchases by things that are taken off the shelf. And internally, they can track people's movements as employees so that they know who they came in contact with. In terms of buyers from Amazon, they have typically are very difficult to reach. However, with work from home extended for non-frontline employees, which Amazon buyers are considered, that has been extended until June 30th of 2021 of next year. So reaching a buyer may be a little bit different, but not a lot. They may be in a different time zone, and they may be at home, but they, in general, are a little bit more available because there tends to be fewer meetings. In terms of impacts on vendors, if you have a case of COVID within your warehouse or within your staff anywhere, you may have found that it's very difficult to adjust to your operations, and it may impact your supply chain and your deliveries to Amazon. So we highly recommend filing a case. We have a client that has over $600,000 in orders that has to shut down operations in the middle of figuring out that staff member has been identified as having COVID and needing to deliver that at the same time to Amazon. It's incredibly difficult. So if something like that happens, be sure to document it, file a case to Amazon to let them know that that's happened. Ideally, that will help you avoid chargebacks and get a little bit more flexibility from Amazon than usual. So despite the pandemic still affecting Amazon's operations internally, its business is still growing very, very strongly, and Amazon is protecting its employees while fulfilling customer orders. There still continue to be some disruptions. You may see that Amazon promises a delivery at 10 p.m., but doesn't get it to you until the next day. So there are some still bumps for Amazon, but it has gotten a lot better. Prime Day, as I mentioned, was in Q4. It was October 13th and 14th. Prime Day sales were estimated by many different people. One estimate was around $7 billion. Another estimate put it as high as $10 billion. What we do know is that searches spiked across categories relative to the daily average, and we saw this in search volume. Specifically, the highest ones that we saw spikes in were electronics and things like cell phones and accessories and toys. In areas like lawn and garden, there was actually a decrease in traffic, and it was low in sports and outdoors. So with the shifting of Prime Day to later in Q4, as we saw this year, it was ideally placed by Amazon to kick off the holiday shopping season, is the way that they marketed it. And they said that you could get the most benefit from items that are great gifts. Overall, for most manufacturers or sellers on Amazon, they saw a spike in sales, with the exception of lawn and garden. The upcoming sales period is expected to be very big for Amazon as well. You may see some different references. BFCM, it equals Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That seems to be getting into the terminology of some Amazon employees and others in the industry. So BFCM is that period of time. Turkey 5 equals the BFCM, or the Black Friday, Cyber Monday days, plus Thanksgiving. And interestingly, some Black Friday deals have been posted on ads, provided a web link there. You'll see that many of the discounts are similar to ones that were given during Prime Day, and you can expect to see deeper discounts on Amazon devices such as the Kindle, the Fire, Ring Doorbell, and Echo. So if you're waiting for an Amazon device, definitely wait until that period to buy one of those devices. If you're waiting for other products, you may get deals as early as Amazon was publishing, I think it's this Friday, November 20th, that they talked about kicking off some of the Thanksgiving deals. Pro tip for Amazon sellers in particular is that Amazon usually matches promotions or deals that they find on other sites, and they're willing to lose money when matching the competition or very significant competition, so that they are seen as a good marketplace for customers to go to. And so while Amazon is matching these promotions, while that can boost your sales, it can negatively impact overall profit and future negotiations with Amazon. So if you're not running a promotion on Amazon and Amazon matches it to someone else offline, that could drive your price down on Amazon, sell more units, and potentially make that product negative profit for Amazon, which could impact your negotiations in the future. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. If you see Amazon coming back to you in the future for not making enough profit, and specifically on certain products, you could call that out if it was Amazon actually kind of creating that issue by matching someone else.
All right, so I'm here to talk about a few content updates that we have for you this month. So we talked about this a little bit last month with the image suppressions, but we have a little bit more detailed information on here. And when we post this slide, there is a link to a support node where you can view even more detailed information on the topic if you would like. So an issue that we're seeing pop up in a lot of accounts is ASIN suppressions due to images. And the reason is that images will have text, logos, graphics, or watermarks in the main image, or they will have a non-white background. The images could be blurry or pixelated, or they could contain a cropped product. So the main image that Amazon is looking for is going to be just the product on a perfect white background image where the product takes up roughly 85% of the image. And so if Amazon they're getting more strict with this restriction. So they are tightening down on any images that they find that have text, logos, or graphics in them. In this next slide, we have an example of what that actually looks like. So this specific product has a call out saying that it is 3 pairs, and that is to help differentiate that this product actually, it's not just a single product, it actually is 3 pairs of this product. So you want to ensure when you're uploading images, which image is going to be your main image, that it accurately reflects exactly what the ASIN offers. So if you do have products that are suppressed in your catalog, you can view it by going to Items, Upload Images. Like you go into Vendor Central, Items, Upload Images in bulk, Status Report, and then Content Compliance Issues. That's the path to get you to this suppression checker. And then you can see in this image, there is a drop-down where you can select a vendor code, and it will give you the list of items that have these compliant issues. And you can see, since this product actually has text in it, you're not allowed to use that. And so that image was suppressed. So this is one area where you can go to check if there are any outstanding image suppressions on your detail pages. Another thing that we are seeing that has been added to detail pages is the Amazon stores are now, there's a large widget that is included on detail pages. So this is an example of a Finis store. And right below the fold, when you get onto a product detail page, there's a widget for items that are frequently bought together. And then right below that, so essentially the third thing on the detail page is this large widget that is driving traffic to their Amazon store. So if you click on this link, it'll bring you to their homepage, and then it links out a couple of the top pages in their store. And so you can see that just by including this, Amazon's trying to drive more traffic to the Amazon stores, which they see as giving brands the ability to showcase their selection and their brand story. So it's important as you think about what you're doing in 2021, if you have new product launches or you're updating your branding, it's important to make sure that those changes flow through to your store so that you have an updated set of products in your store and your most recent marketing materials.
Okay, so I'm going to be covering the operations next. Maybe there's okay. So very first thing here, just some Vendor Central updates. So starting January 31st, 2021, Amazon is going to stop supporting Internet Explorer. For Vendor Central, they will still continue to support Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Microsoft Edge. So if your company is using Internet Explorer, you'll want to switch over to Vendor Central, because if something doesn't work correctly there and you put in a trouble ticket for it, Amazon's going to say that's not a supported browser. In general, Amazon likes Firefox the most. That's what they use internally at Amazon. But some apps do like the Chrome program a bit more, like Chime, for example, prefers Chrome over Firefox. Next thing is on the North American Vendor Shipment Manual. That used to be one single manual here that covered everything, and that was kind of like the go-to manual for a lot of questions that most people would have. It still lives in the same place in the support section of Vendor Central, and it still is a zip file, but now when you open that zip file, you're going to actually see 2 manuals. They divided up the main manual they had before, so one manual now is preparation and receive manual, and then the other one is the transportation manual, and that's the main update for that, or the main changes they've done to that manual recently. So next thing that we wanted to remind you of is the pesticide attribute. So we've mentioned this before in one of our past seminars, and it's coming into play again. So the reason why we're mentioning it now is if you tried to update this attribute previously, which is going to be the box down here at the bottom. So if you went into your edit item products in Vendor Central and tried to update this, you might have actually seen this missing. Or if you filed a ticket to Amazon, they might have came back and said, we can't update that for you just yet. That is because of a technical error where this was not populating for all categories like it was supposed to be. And Amazon has said that that has since been fixed. So if you received an email notification and all that flagged your ASIN as requiring the attribute, or if you know that your products do actually require it, or have any of these keywords that we have above here, such as like disinfect, repel insects, remove allergens, anything at all that might trigger it as a pesticide. You'll want to go in and you want to update this information. You can either do it one by one here by filling out the attribute. You can do it in bulk, or you can submit a ticket and try and get RBS to do it. But the deadline for that is January 11, 2021. If you don't have it updated by then, Amazon will start suppressing your ASINs and eventually removing them from the catalog and destroying the inventory. So you'll want to get that updated ahead of time. If you have new products, so you don't need to worry about that necessarily. So September 10th, if you had it filled in on your NIS already, then the attribute should have flown through to the catalog. So, but it is very important that you get this updated. And even if you don't think your product has something here or shouldn't apply, like as an example, we have a food vendor and they actually got flagged for this. You can put it in there that it's not applicable. Amazon will walk you through that. There's actually a thing here which says an exemption. So you can select that there, that the product is exempt, but you want to make sure that you do either put the EPA Registration Number, EPA Establishment Number, or if it's exempt, mark that there, and that way you don't have to worry about your products getting delisted and suppressed. So the next thing that we want to talk about was glance views. So Amazon has added glance views now within ARA Premium, or if you're using brand analytics, that is not there now there as well. So what is a glance view? So if you don't know what that is, this was actually prized information that Amazon would never share before. So it's really nice that they're now sharing this with everybody. But it is a single customer view on a product detail page. So every time somebody views that detail page, it counts as one glance view. Now, if you keep on hitting the refresh button, Amazon will think that you're a bot because it does try and pick those up. So anytime something like that happens, or if they're known bots like Google scraping and things like that, Amazon does try and remove those glance views from the numbers that you see there on the right or within ARA, essentially. But the importance here is that Amazon actually categorizes every single one of those views depending on the status of the ASIN. So if it's out of stock, that counts as an out of stock glance view. If you're losing the buy box, that counts as a lost buy box glance view. There's other ones too here, such as like FBA and things like that, that they'll categorize more. But for most clients anyway, these are the three things they're going to categorize it by. Is it out of stock, lost buy box, and is it fast track, yes or no? So it divides all those up into different buckets, and then Amazon's now showing that to you. And the importance here for our perspective anyway is that now you can track traffic at an ASIN level, and you can see if it's improving week over week, year over year, etc. So we can track the traffic, we can track your inventory position. So how many out of stock glance views did you have? How often did you lose the buy box here? You can use all that basically to calculate what your missed sales are. You can use that now for your forecast to help improve your forecast anyway. You can use that for conversion. It gives all that data there anyway. So it's really nice that it's showing that. You can find this in, again, if you have ARA Premium or you have brand analytics, which a lot of people have moved to. It's going to be in the reports and in the analytics section. And then it's always going to be available at the manufacturer level of reports. It's not available at the sourcing level because they're not dividing that up right now for a glance view standpoint. Basically, and then the next thing that I had here was that Amazon had data available from October 11th going forward, but they were working on backdating that data, so they're trying to populate it up to a year or even more than that. And the estimated completion for that was November 16th. I did see yesterday that it wasn't filled in for everybody yet, but I checked again today, and I've seen more clients now that actually have some of that data filled in the past. So it looks like they are starting to populate that. So if you're not seeing it for the year, just give it time, and Amazon probably going to go back and update it for you as well. So if you're a client of ours, you've already actually started seeing, or you will be seeing the glance view data within the WBR itself. So here's just a snapshot of what we're doing. So we're tracking it within there. And then initially we're giving you a single page within the WBR that we send out, where it's got all your glance views. Right now it's only going from normally week 41 or week 42, depending on when it actually started, but we will end up backdating this with all the extra glance views that they add in once those are available. And then the benefit here, of course, why we stick it in the WBR is that we'll be able to track it over time. So if you're with us for several years, you'll see all that data year over year, and you'll see the actual differences. And then on top of that, we can combine that with everything else that we pull from Amazon and give you basically a snapshot of what's happening overall, rather than just looking at one metric individually. So the next thing basically was on cost increases in Q3. So this is pertaining to Amazon's cost increases, not your own essentially, but it can definitely affect you. So essentially what Amazon has been doing in Q3 is that they've been trying to spend more money on shipping. So they've been trying to get, or they've been expanding their fleet basically, which In general, when you like start buying more planes and more trucks, it gets more expensive, but overall it's going to start going down in cost. Amazon, as of right now anyway, has a very high cost, and they're doing that in order to try and give the best customer service to customers. So they're trying to get basically next day, same day shipping, et cetera, and that's causing their shipping costs actually to go up as they're expanding their fleet. So from what we're getting from the data, it's 57% year-over-year increase in shipping costs that Amazon's incurring. And then basically it's a 45% increase in fulfillment costs as well. So you can just see Amazon is spending a ton of money here in order to give a better customer experience to their customer right now. Now, why that's important to you, though, is as a client or a vendor, if Amazon brings us up in negotiations, especially as we go into Q1 here, Amazon might end up asking you for increased freight terms. And then you push back to Amazon should be, like, hey, well, this is because of what you're doing, not because of anything that we're doing. And just keep that in mind when you're doing a negotiation. If you're applying with us, of course, we're going to help you through that process, but that's how this is important to you. Good thing, though, of course, is the customer. It's helping the customer out. So as Amazon is increasing their costs for shipping, though, they actually came out with this program. This has been out for a little bit now, but they've been expanding this more and more with the Amazon Delivery Day. So this is an email here to Al. But essentially, he's set up an Amazon Delivery Day of Saturday. So what Amazon is doing here, actually, let's go to the next slide so that it's a little bit easier to talk about. Okay, so what Amazon is doing here anyway with the delivery day is that they're trying to consolidate the purchases. So they're letting customers basically pick a day. As of right now, Saturday is the most popular day that they've selected. It is also the default day, so that might actually be why it's the most popular day. But from Amazon's benefit, it's reducing their cost because what it does is if consumers select that, and normally they're actually giving you a benefit. So like me, I have a Prime delivery day as well, which mine is also Saturday. But they're giving me normally a discount every time I select that. So if I'm avoiding my 2-day or my next day or same day shipping, which I get with my Prime membership, and go and select this delivery day of like Saturday or whatever other day I select, it gives Amazon the time to basically combine orders. So they can ship an order. If you have multiple orders coming from around the country, basically, you're ordering multiple products, they can ship it all to a hub or a transfer center. And then what they can do is they combine that into one box and ship it out to you, and it reduces their overall shipping costs. So that's kind of what they're doing here. So they're trying to, even though they're trying to expand their fleet and get the product to you as fast as possible, they're allowing customers that don't necessarily need it next day or same day that slower option, and they're normally rewarding them with like a $1 off digital content is normally what I end up getting for that. So it's trying to differentiate those two customers anyway. Okay, so the next thing was on capacity constraints. So this is actually a similar slide to what we had before Prime Day as well, but the same issue is going to be coming up now that we're in the Q4. It's actually probably going to impact you a little bit more during Q4 than it did during Prime Day because they did have a couple more months, of course. The reason why it impacts you more during Q4 is Amazon, as they get closer and closer to the end of Q4 here and start getting into the new year, they try and reduce the amount of inventory that they have as much as possible. So when we worked at Amazon anyway, all the in-stock managers, basically what they did was we would get together the last month, like in December or so, last couple of weeks anyway, and then we would go through and we would look to see whatever we could cut essentially from an ordering standpoint. And that was to try and get capacity as low as possible. So from Amazon's perspective anyway, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be reducing weeks of cover on purchase orders. They're likely going to stop or put holds in place on any new products. So they're going to say, we're not adding new products right now. We're just focusing on what we have. New products can get added again in January. They're also going to start restricting things like Born to Run as an example. And the reason why they're doing all this is because they're trying to just focus on products that people are actually buying at this time. So they're focusing on the promoted products, they're focusing on giftable items, and then they're focusing on products with high glance through, so anything that people are looking at. And they're just doing that to get that rate essentially, while also cutting everything down. From a suggested action on the vendor side anyway, so dropship is extremely important here. So as Amazon tries to cut that down, there is a chance of going out of stock on products. I mean, an in-stock manager isn't always 100% right. So if you have dropship, try and back everything up with that. If you can do it right now, take a look at anything that you have in inventory now to Amazon, look at your POs, and then see what you might be able to do a Born to Run or bulk buy on in order to try and get Amazon to get more inventory before they actually do start getting capacity constrained and start shutting that down. If you have a promotion running right now, that actually should help you a little bit because that's going to give you a lift. Of course, if people are buying more, that's going to negatively affect it, but that'll be a positive for you. And then if you're having any issues at all with anything, you can always try and use tickets or call NOC. Calling NOC is a little bit different though. in terms of NOC, that's going to be if you're having issues with pickup or delivery. So as Amazon runs into these capacity constraints, you're definitely going to start seeing that where the carriers are going to be pushing things out. They're pushing things out normally for pickup because they can't get the delivery appointment with Amazon, or Amazon pushing that out, and they don't want to pick up the freight and then hold it until Amazon can accept the delivery of it. So if you're having any trouble with that, the ticket's going to be the first thing that you want to do, and then if you're still having trouble, NOC is going to be next. So the next thing that we have on here was the truckload proof of delivery. So this is a recent impact due to COVID. So as of right now, Amazon will no longer be stamping bill of landings or BOLs for truckload carriers making deliveries. So previously they were doing that. So now they're saying that if you need to submit a proof of delivery for anything, so like if you have a shortage issue, as an example, Amazon will be accepting your proof of delivery, which would be your delivery appointment itself. So you take a digital screenshot of the delivery appointment, they'll consider that as a proof of delivery. And the whole reason is because they're not doing the BOLs right now. Now, I don't know if RBS is actually up to speed on that as well, but that is what it's saying right now in Vendor Central. So if you have trouble, you'll just want to push back on that and just say, hey, this is what it's saying here. But as of right now, that's what Amazon's doing going forward. Okay, so I'm going to be covering the first part of the marketing update. So next slide. And then after that, I think Colleen's going to be taking it over. Okay, sorry, there must have been some type of a delay there. So in terms of Amazon, so this is something we wanted to bring up that we saw during Prime Day, and it was just a reminder to us. We want to remind you as well. But this has to do with Amazon sponsored promotions. So believe it or not, Amazon will actually sometimes fund their own promotions on your products. They normally don't make you aware of this at all, but you can catch them when they're doing this. Now, this isn't necessarily a negative. It's more of just be aware. What we found anyway during Prime Day, as an example here, is that Amazon was actually funding this discount on this client's product where they were giving 40% off for first subscribe and save orders. So it's only available to Prime customers, and it was 40% off the first time that they ordered that. So subscribe and save is actually the most common where they do this on, where you'll see a lot of times Amazon will fund a subscribe and save, normally the first order or so, to try and get people to buy. Now, they can also test it on other discounts too. So we've seen like dollars off, 50 cents off, or a percentage off, something very low. So Amazon does test basically when they're doing that, and they're free to do that, of course, as they want. Why this is important to you though is, like, if you get a subscribe and save agreement, or it'll be SNS or SNS, whatever they're abbreviating it as, you might not even want to sign that essentially. So the reason why is because Amazon might be already funding subscribe and save on your product itself. So there's no need for you to get an agreement. The only benefit that you would have in getting an agreement is it probably open up to more products, and then you would actually be paying for that funding, which wouldn't affect the ASIN CP. And so that's what I wanted to talk about next. And this is why the reminder here is when Amazon does fund a promotion like that, it is affecting the ASIN CP. So that's going into the total contribution profit of that ASIN in general. And then why this might be important in the future is because we have actually had it in the past where Amazon has pointed out an ASIN is CP negative, so that means Amazon can't make a profit on it, and Amazon is going to crap it out. We went back and looked at the ASIN, and we saw that they had subscribe and save running on it, and we were not paying for that. Amazon was paying for that subscribe and save. So we pointed that out to Amazon, and they ended up flipping the switch and turning subscribe and save on ASIN off. I don't know why they didn't catch it, but they didn't. I mean, more than likely they didn't catch it just because how many ASINs they have in their category. But they turned it off, and that actually made the ASIN CP positive. So it went from CP negative to CP positive, and then it was no longer part of the negotiation. So that's where it's important to you as a client.
Great. Thank you very much, Dave. And so a huge holiday tip going into our high advertising time frame is to start early. The marketing landscape that we have now is new territory for a lot of us, and it's exciting times. As Amazon is always striving to create a more positive customer shopping experience, they started their holiday deals Friday after Prime Day so that they could start beating the holiday hustle. What we're seeing experts starting to say across retail, we're expecting to see that primarily the big deals are going to be online. And why? Well, because the landscape right now to reduce the shopping in crowded stores. We are seeing lines outside of stores as they are reducing occupancy levels. And as we go into potential uptick in the COVID time right now, this may or may not want to increase, the shopping. The results of this shopping online we're increase in shopping online is the retailers are adding more discounts earlier. For instance, we saw Walmart start rolling out sales November 4th. With this online traffic, there's concerns also about deliveries not arriving on time. So this is pushing shoppers to start ordering early as well. This we are seeing from some of our shopping experiences earlier in the year. So the shoppers are learning from past shortages as we saw earlier when COVID started. So to advertise now to catch your early shoppers, all retailers are suggested to start the season earlier, facing these restrictions. Also, Amazon, we noticed, has extended its returns window so that most items shipped now through December 31st can be returned up until January 31st. Big takeaway is customers are shopping, they're looking for deals. So I wanted to point out a really exciting new to Amazon product, which is the video advertising. The product video advertising has been around for a couple of months. It is, however, one of the least utilized, so that this type of an advertising venue is highly effective. This video advertising is one ASIN. It's linked, the video is linked to an ASIN detail page. The reason video is highly effective is it attracts attention quickly. It has action, it has color. What we're seeing is it increases the shopper engagement. The products, with the limited ability to touch, feel, smell, and interact with your product, it allows for a higher level of engagement. You are able to highlight your brand excellence, explain your product features, answer questions, and solve problems for your shoppers. This, as you can see, can be used in a lot of different ways. For instance, if you have a repeated shopper product issue that shoppers don't understand about your product, you can create a video to address that and actually potentially reduce some returns with your shopper education. So the image on the left is a picture of the beginning of a video. You're able to overlay it with your logo. You're able to also put words within your video, and that is also a very effective means of educating your shoppers. What we did was break down some snapshots from a video. You could see here very well how your mattress toppers, you have a chance to show, say on the left, you begin your video with text overlay. You can begin with one type of your product and merge into another type of your product. You can show profiles of your product or sizes, differences within your product visually. So you're engaging the shopper on a much deeper, more meaningful level. As you touch the product, you can see it move, you can see it bend, you can see it soft. And in the end, you see a hand pushing down, 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 and you actually can feel yourself falling on the product and see visually the sensation of the softness of the product. So you can see how deeply engaging a video is for the shopper and helps you to tell your story. To give some pro tips for your holiday advertising, start early. Start now. Our clients, we have been engaging shopping, engaging these advertisings now to make them more effective and efficient as we actually run into those highest traffic times. And the reason I say to stay late, keep in mind your holiday shoppers will also get gift cards. So you don't want to have the gift card shoppers show up and your ads aren't there anymore. So keep in mind the gift card shopping. Align your brand store pages with your advertising. You can upsell, cross-sell, increase your sales by getting your shoppers onto your store pages. We also want to start advertising early, testing your headlines and specific call outs. We can test your images and your keywords now to be really honed in and dialed in on what's going to resonate with your shoppers. For all eligible clients, we really suggest overlaying your sponsored product ads with your sponsored brand and your display ads. And if you have those video assets, highly suggest you use video assets during the holidays. Amazon has been suggesting increasing your daily budgets up to 200%. And the reason is you don't want your ads to be paused by the end of the day or at 5 o'clock when people are coming home and actually able to shop. If they're getting off work, signing out for the day, and they're still on their computer, they start shopping. We don't want your ads to be out. Amazon also suggests that your bidding within your advertising remains high, sometimes doubling your current bids. The reason for that is to retain those top spots or the highest spots for your most relevant keywords. So we have a lot of levers that we pull to make your advertising through the holiday more efficient and to increase your sales. We have some ideas for creating your holiday advertising. We want you to focus on images, your pictures. Make them beautiful. We've mentioned this before. Use color. You see the water touching his face and he's smiling, and you see the straps, and you automatically think joy. And isn't that the cutest thing to see a child smiling and enjoying himself? So it's a highly engaging image. With the vivid color, it grabs your attention. The reason images are so effective as our videos is that they invoke feelings. People want to, we want in our advertising for people to desire what is being portrayed. We want them to desire the happiness that this product can invoke. The action that is in this lifestyle, it grabs attention. That the imagery, we want to draw your shopper into the image. So your images have feelings. And always remember that. What do you want your image to invoke in the shopper? Being happy, beautiful, fun, loved, adventuresome, strong, endurant, affluent, powerful. What are your shoppers looking to? What resonates with them? So the pictures generate a lot of buying interest. We would highly suggest, again, the use of videos and creatives and starting early. So that's the important takeaways for holidays as we go into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Turkey 5. And we will pass the screen over to Patrick.
So in this next segment, Amazon Frontier, we like to look at any new tools that are being developed and then any programs that Amazon is running. So today, Amazon launched their Amazon Pharmacy. So back in 2018, they acquired PillPack, and now Amazon has officially launched their own Amazon Pharmacy prescription ordering and delivery service through their online store. So customers are able to purchase prescription medications through Amazon, and Prime members can get discounts of up to 80% on generic drugs when paying without insurance. And Prime members, as usual, expect to get the 2-day delivery on any of their prescriptions. And currently, Amazon has more than 50,000 participating pharmacies in their network. Cool. So now we're going to move over to questions and answers. The first question that we saw in there was from Ruth. And just to reiterate, it wasn't very clear when I said it the first time. So this is an example of an image that will be suppressed. So since this image has text in it, that image will be suppressed. So that's why when we go into Vendor Central and look at the suppression checker, you can see all these images that have text in them have been suppressed. She also asked, are you allowed to use text in secondary images? And from reading the rules, it appears, yes, you are still allowed to use text in your secondary images.
And a little bit of a background or reason for that is that Amazon uses main images in its system for a lot of different purposes than just putting on the detail page. So it may be they look at the main image, for example, to potentially use to post on mobile ads or on mobile displays. So they want to have those products highlighted and characterized in a specific way. That's why they make, one of the reasons they make the primary image have unique characteristics that are required.
Okay. Another question that I received was, why does Amazon fund promotions on its own, sometimes without telling manufacturers?
Yeah, so I can answer that one, Patrick. So one of the reasons, at least for Subscribe and Save, that they're doing that is they're trying to get new customers into the Subscribe and Save program. So they're willing to fund that initial discount to a lot of consumers, or even to keep them rolling because it lets the customer come back and keep coming back. So Amazon's willing to put funding towards that. Normally, if they are funding that, they normally do a pretty low discount. So they don't give the normal discount that they're doing, where it'll be 5 and then 15%. Normally, they'll give something lower than that, maybe like 0 and 5% when they're funding it. But it's up to Amazon's discretion in order to do that. On other discounts that we've seen, such as like the dollar off ones, or like a percentage off that'll be low, like 3%. Amazon normally does that actually for A/B testing. So they might be running one test like that for a certain set of consumers, or even just whoever's logged in that day, and they might be running it again with nothing at all or a different discount. And they'll do A/B testing like that just to see the reaction from a consumer. And they have that either the category or the team itself that owns the product will run those discounts, or there's actually another internal team within Amazon that will do A/B testing all the time just to see what works and what doesn't, and they'll publish their findings internally. And then that is a recommendation then that buyers will go out and tell people, like, hey, if you run a promotion with this much, we see a better lift than if you do a promotion for this much, as an example, within the category.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. Amazon's always looking for a way to get more customers, especially from key competitors, for each individual space that it sells in. Another reason is if it wants to boost sales on high profit items, sometimes it sees that the profit that it makes on individual products is so high that it wants to drive even more traffic to it and provide a promotion. And commonly they do that in other channels such as Yahoo.
There is one other thing too that I forgot now that we're doing Q4, but during the Q4 period, another reason why they might run them is if they're doing a match. So they could run a limited discount or like a lightning deal or something like that in order to match a competitor like Best Buy or so, and they'll do a limited quantity on that, and that'll be the discount. And after the discount is run, they'll normally end up suppressing the detail page. So that could be another thing during at least this time period of Q4 that they might run something like that. They normally will, though, try and get funding from you, but if they don't, they'll still a lot of times run it just to match the competitor.
Nice. Yeah, another question we got in chat was, are video advertisements also available in Seller Central or for third-party sellers? And the answer to that is yes. So as long as you are a brand registered seller and you're selling on Seller, like as long as you go through the brand registry process, in Seller Central, you have the ability to create sponsored brands, sponsored display, and sponsored products. And in the sponsored brands, you have the option to do video or the store spotlight or the regular sponsored brand video ads. Yeah, so another question that I just got was, what is NOC? What does it stand for, and what do they do?
It stands for North American Operations Center, and then those are basically the on-call freight specialists, essentially. So it's a team. It used to be a team within Amazon itself, and they would have like what's called a war room, and then people from the transportation team would work there, and they would be the team you would go to if you have any problems with like inbound or any shipping problems, things like that. So from the client's perspective, they'd be the ones handling any issues if you have a delivery problem. So if your truck is sitting there at the dock and for some reason they can't get into Amazon, you would call them and they would go and fix it or work it. Or if you're having a pickup problem a lot of time nowadays is handled by tickets, but they're still available there to assist. And the team now, I don't believe is any longer now in Seattle. They've outsourced it now somewhere else. But that's essentially what their job is. They're to handle all the transportation issues that might come up.
Nice. Thank you. So it doesn't look like, does anyone else have any additional questions? So it doesn't look like we have any more that have been submitted. So we can move on to the key takeaways.
The period that we're in, Q4, is typically 40% of Amazon's sales, and moving into the holiday period with the BFCM plus the Turkey 5, it's expected to be even higher sales than it has been in past years, particularly with Prime Day now in Q4. So with today's presentation, we aim to tell you things that are changing and could potentially impact the business, not only in the past, but going forward. We brought our experts in content, operations, and marketing, as well as Amazon expertise, into the call so that we can maximize your sales growth, profit, and brand excellence on Amazon. The image and pesticide suppressions, as we mentioned in the first bullet there, are increasing, and they can be monitored in Vendor Central. We definitely wanted to show you those because we'll find in Q4 those will likely accelerate, and when you have such a high sales period, we want to make sure to emphasize that, ensure that products are not suppressed. Start early and run late on the holiday season with your marketing. Want to make sure that you're aware that Amazon has extended its holiday period all the way to start at November, as early as November 20th through the holiday period. That way you don't necessarily have to increase your funding, but you might want to be aware and test a little bit of that to see if the traffic out there is arriving a little bit sooner than in prior years. And with the new glance view data that we mentioned today, that may provide insight to you when that traffic potentially starts to increase. The sponsored brand videos are an effective way to engage shoppers in search, particularly during the Q4 period when people are increasingly using their mobile phones. You, in general, like to see something that's action and gives you a feel, a look, a sense, or a sound of something rather than just an image. The sponsored brand videos are something that can help call that out. And on the operations side, Dropship and Born to Run can help you with those out-of-stock times. Amazon doesn't always forecast or predict perfectly and commonly can be out of stock. So if you have the logistics, even during this COVID period, be able to fulfill through Dropship, that's great to be able to capture those orders when Amazon's out of stock. As we see more traffic come to Q4, all of these things will help drive the business for you and hopefully provide an outstanding Q4.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alan, Dave, and Colleen. Thank you for all your time. So thank you for joining our webinar. As always, a copy of the presentation will be posted on our website, navazonconsulting.com, and the video recording will be posted there as well. So thank you very much for joining and have a good rest of your day.